Watch everybody, I'm Nick and I'm working again on my 1966 Thunderbird. I put this layer of Heat Shield Products DB skin down. You can see it's dry and I'm very happy with the result. The car feels a lot more solid, a lot less ringy with all of this in it. What I'm going to be doing in this video is I'm going to be working on testing electrical in this car. So the electrical was way cut up, way messed up. I have made sure that the wiring harness that goes to the engine bay is complete enough. I can crank the thing by jumping a couple wires. But in this video, I'm going to get the center console and I'm going to set it in the car and I'm going to start running electrical conduit and electrical wire everywhere where it needs to go. And I want to start testing. I want to make sure everything on this car pretty much works before I put the rest of the interior in it. So if I have to make electrical repair, it's not too hard to do so. You can see I've got the wiring harness just kind of tucked up everywhere away from the floor. I got all these vacuum lines hanging everywhere. That's for the ignition switch. I've got all that electrical that I've got to reconfigure, get back under here. There's several electrical connectors up under the dash over on this side. I'll show you that in a minute. There's some stuff up under here. So I really got a lot that I need to do. I need to finish mounting the steering column. You can see that's not exactly finished. Once I knock out all of that, the interior, which is currently on the workbench, is going back in the car. And with all of that stuff finally finished, finally dialed in, I can work on the engine, make it idle and run nicely. I've got some parts that I'm gonna be getting from a buddy of mine soon, and hopefully that all works out good and get this thing to just a solid, reliable, daily drivable runner. I've had this thing idle, you can see that in some of my previous videos, but I'm gonna be doing kind of just a real light refresh on the cooling system, make sure the radiator doesn't leak and is flushed out well, possibly replace it, new water pump, new hoses, new carburetor that's a little bit more appropriately sized for this engine. This one's a little on the small side, which makes it drive nice. Should make it drive nice, but leaves a little bit of power on the table. So we'll be replacing that. And we're gonna put in some type of ready to run or HEI or some type of distributor that's hopefully not quite as fussy as these points are probably gonna be. Depending on how long this takes me and where I end up with the car, I really want everything on this thing to work. So I'm even considering possibly venturing into a little bit of like air conditioning repair or refresh, put a compressor on it and some hoses and see if it's worth getting all that to work. We'll see. Okay, so I hooked the battery back up and I had some weird smoke pour out of these two gauges, popped the cover off, these two gauges. I popped the cover off, not really sure why they were smoking. I put the battery back on with the covers off, no smoke. It was pouring out from right behind them. And then when I pulled the cover off, they were both still had smoke misting from somewhere around the gauge. I'm not really sure where exactly. And clearly the dash lights are working. And then we have what I think are brake lights. Let me see if I pull it down into reverse, if I have reverse lights. Park right now, let me see. No, but the key's also not on. So I believe there's like two reverse lights behind this part of the lens. Not 100% sure. Still got to figure a lot of stuff out on this thing. Okay, so it took me way too long to figure this out, but I did figure it out. Neutral safety switch has some kind of adjustment related problem. Check this out. But when I pull this into like neutral, it works. If I hold it way up in park, it cranks. So I have some wires jumpered up underneath at the connector under there. So if I hold it way up in park, which may be less of a problem when this is remounted, I don't know. Or if I put it down into neutral, I get cranking. Honestly, that's a little bit of relief. I was worried that I had like a bad connection behind the dash, now that I have the dash in. So that's a little bit of a relief. I have a lot more that I gotta do and figure out, but step in the right direction. Very excited and happy with that. Thank God. It took all night to reach this point, but this is exactly what I was trying to accomplish. Cranking. So I'm happy with that. All right, I'm super stoked about this. The headlights work. So the headlight switch is pulled all the way in the out position because the switch is missing. So hopefully the switch is completely good. But check this out. When I click this, the headlights switch and both sides appear to be working on both settings. Yes, those are going to become LEDs because I don't want to be burning up headlight switches with high output halogens, and I definitely want this to have decent lights. When I step on the brakes, that light gets brighter. You can see it in the reflection of the toolbox right there. Tonight, on a little bit of a high note, I will pick back up in the next couple days and continue getting the center console, that thing in the car, and start getting all the electrical stuff that goes in it, the window switches, all of that stuff. Make sure everything works. I really want everything to work before I really put the rest of the interior in this thing, in case I have to do any more electrical repair. That's kind of the whole thing. So I'm gonna pick that up in the next couple days. I really want to have the interior in by the end of the week, but I'm not sure. It might be next week. Okay, so it's been something like 10 or 12 days since I've worked on this car, which is longer than I wanted it to be, but it was for a good reason. I helped a buddy of mine with a truck that he's taking to SEMA, which I am super stoked on for him. He totally deserves it, totally earned it. The truck is awesome. I'm gonna throw his stuff up right here somewhere, and I'm not sure when that video is going to drop, probably about the same time this one is. Definitely check that truck out because it is beautiful. We wire tucked it. He did so much paint work in that engine bay, cleaning it up. It is honestly one of the favorite engine bays that I've ever seen. Very street, very race, very show, all at the same time, lots of personality. But now I'm back working on my Thunderbird. We just had daylight savings time. It's honestly getting dark earlier, so I'm gonna have to invest in some better lighting as I continue this project. So what I'm gonna try to knock out right now is I'm gonna try to get the rest of the sound deadening done. So that's just behind me. It shouldn't take too long. And then I'm gonna get the center console wiped down again and set in the car so that I can see what I need to start figuring out for vacuum lines, power, stuff like that. All right, so after far too much stupidity, looking around at all kinds of stuff, I did finally determine the problem, and it's this thing. You have 3 wires that go to this thing. This is a relay, and it's called the power window safety relay. Basically, it keeps the windows from working when the key's not on. I'm not really sure why they called it a safety relay, except that for some reason it's under the hood, and it doesn't make any sense. But this car doesn't make any sense. So you have this wire, that's your power in to the relay. This wire on this side is your power. In the key on position, the fuse box puts power on this pin so that you can trigger the relay to turn on and your windows work. And this is power out. The relay is, the control side of the relay is switched through the case. It does nothing. And based on how tight it is to the firewall with these self-tappers and the fact that everything else in the car has worked so far, I don't think it's a grounding problem. So basically, I can test that I have window power into the relay, trigger power to the relay, and nothing out. Basically, that relay is no good. Now I've got probably 2 main options. I can either replace the relay. I looked it up, it's like a $40 part at cheapest, 60 or 70 bucks a lot of places because it's one-off only for this car, and they fail. The repros don't last very long either. Or I can replace the relay with one that won't fail. I'll get a 70 amp Bosch relay, and I think that's the route I'm gonna go. The form factor is about the same, and that's what I'm gonna end up doing. So for now, I'm actually pretty satisfied that this is gonna work. I'm gonna do a quick test and make sure that the windows work. I'm gonna bypass this. And after that, I'm probably gonna call it a night. This is definitely not a traditional way to test that you have power to windows or something, but I don't have a power probe, so we're gonna go with that. That should make sufficient contact, and let's go back inside the car. Well, this is gonna upset me a lot. Smacking the window motor, at least temporarily fixed it. That's probably gonna have to come apart and be relubed and stuff. Okay, here. So now that motor's decided it's okay coming back to life, if I plug this in, oh, now it works. All right, I think we'll be able to clean the switch and make everything work. Nice. Clean the switch, probably pull the motor out, clean the motor, and then hopefully absolutely everything will work. See that wind wing? A little loud, but it works. Tell you guys what, this whole election night thing is a nail biter. It is just after 8 o'clock right now, and it's still anybody's game. And I don't care where you stand, but the whole thing's definitely got a lot of reason to make everybody nervous, no matter where they stand. Anyway, getting back into this car, I've got a bunch of the interior in. You can see behind me here, I've got a bunch of this wood grain mostly figured out. I've got some of these trim pieces, the ignition switch is there. I gotta figure out, I found that piece. I gotta find the cover plate that goes there with, it's got some lights or something in it. You can see that that stuff is all in pretty good shape up here, the roof, everything. I found the pieces that go here, and I threw a coat of paint on them. They're probably gonna need another coat, and I gotta get more paint and stuff. So this is kind of slow going. Let's wander up to this end of the car, and you'll see I've got all kinds of parts I've been digging through. I got stuff over here. There's stuff absolutely everywhere for this car, and I didn't take it apart. So this is like a three-dimensional jigsaw puzzle Tetris disaster that I'm figuring out as I go. I'm not really putting screws in anything right now because I'm probably gonna have to put it together, take it apart, put it together, take it apart, and just pray that I get it right. Okay, so where we are at, we're making some progress. I got most of this trim figured out. It's not fully like finished, bolted in. I think I'm gonna have to take a couple pieces of it back off. I found the piece that goes here. I've got to paint it, and I got to get more paint. I found the piece that goes down there. I found these pieces for each side. I'm gonna be putting down a little bit more sound deadening before I put those on. But overall, this is going pretty well. I think I found the pieces that go there. I got to confirm that. And I found a bunch of stuff that clearly goes to the back, but I haven't figured out exactly how it goes in yet. I haven't tried too hard. God, it's all dirty where I grabbed it. There's going to be quite a bit of touching up this dash with a foam brush and stuff, but we will get there. All right, thanks for watching, everybody. Obviously, this thing is still a massive work in progress, but I'm pretty happy with what I've gotten done the last couple of weeks. Tail lights work, brake lights work, headlights work, dash lights work. Most of the electrical is completely finished. I got the vacuum diagram, all that, pretty much like 98% figured out. I got a couple things to look at. Windows work. I got to take this one apart apparently, just to make sure that it's like super good. I'm happy with it. Apparently the brake lights no longer work. They did before. So we got a lot of stuff to figure out. All right, so I guess the brake lights don't work anymore. I got a bunch of stuff to figure out, but thanks for watching.